In freestyle, breaststroke, and butterfly, you see a range of effective arm recoveries. In backstroke, they're pretty much all the same. They're straight, they're fast, they're direct, and they're as effortless as possible. Hi everyone, Andrew here, helping you help your swimmers get faster. More than the other strokes, backstroke recoveries are extremely consistent in terms of how they're executed. Every effective backstroker is going to recover the arms straight, and they're going to recover the arms quickly and directly. The arms are going to come up straight out of the water and they're going to enter more or less right above the shoulder. The directness of the recovery allows it to be quick. The straightness of the recovery allows it to be ballistic following the finish of the stroke. And the directness of the recovery allows swimmers to execute effective pulls as quickly as possible. When the recoveries aren't direct, swimmers are going to have to either take more time to reposition their arm, or they're going to have to execute pulls that don't create as much propulsion as possible. So while on the other strokes, finding an effective recovery is very much about determining which strategy is going to work best for each individual swimmer, in backstroke, the recoveries are all extremely similar. Let's take a look at how Olympic swimmers are making it happen. So if we watch from overhead, the biggest thing to notice is how direct the arms are. They're entering more or less right over the shoulder. Now some swimmers are going to be a little bit inside the shoulder, some swimmers are going to be directly on top of the shoulder, some swimmers are going to be a little bit outside the shoulder. But the range is going to be really, really small. And what that does is it allows swimmers to get into a position that allows them to create propulsion as quickly and as effectively as possible. So if we watch the swimmers on the left here, they're entering the arm right there on the right side. And again, if the arm is behind the head, they're going to have to move it over in order to get into an effective position. And if the arm is out to the side, then they're going to be compromised in terms of their setup of their stroke. No matter how well they set up the stroke from that position, they're going to be missing out on a good bit of propulsion. So again, the recoveries have to be direct. They have to be entering more or less over the shoulder. And again, that's going to allow them to set up the stroke as effectively as possible. Now, if we watch the path of the recovery here, what you can see is the hand's going to come out right at the hip and it's going to more or less come straight over the top. And that's going to allow them to enter straight up over the top. Now, as swimmers are recovering the arm, some will bring the arm slightly in and then back out to get to shoulder width. And that's mostly going to be because that's the range of motion. That's the path of least resistance that they have access to with their shoulder. And it's going to be tied in with the rotation. But again, they're coming straight up out of it and they're ending up straight up over the top. And you can see the arms are being swung completely straight. So rather than focusing on the details, what matters most is that the arm is straight because that's going to allow the arm to be swung over the surface. And where the arm ends up is another key aspect of the recovery. It's critical that it ends up over the shoulder, plus or minus a little bit. And that's going to allow swimmers to get into the pull right away and do so without compromising the effectiveness of the pull. So again, you can see the recoveries here are all pretty similar. They're all straight. The entry position is going to be slightly different for each swimmer, but it's still going to be extremely direct. And again, there may be some inward motion of the arm during the recovery, but it's going to swing right back out and it's going to end up right where it needs to be. And that's going to be a natural movement. That's going to be swimmers following the path of least resistance in terms of their range of motion and typically doesn't need to be coached. If they end up in the right place, they're swinging straight, that detail will take care of it itself. And so if we watch the swimmer on the far left here, this right arm, you can see it comes across his face just a little bit as he recovers. And then as it comes back, as he enters. Again, that's going to be dictated by the range of motion of the shoulder, how much that comes in or how much it doesn't come in. Again, that's not something to worry about. And if a swimmer isn't demonstrating that, again, I don't think that's something to worry about either. What we're really looking for is the straightness of the recovery and then where it ends up to allow swimmers to create propulsion as easily and as quickly as possible. Now, if we watch the recoveries from the side, we'll get a better understanding or better appreciation of just how straight those recoveries are. So if you look at all the swimmers in the view here, they're all recovering really straight. Again, they're recovering really directly. And you can still see that they're entering right above the shoulder here as well. Different angle, it's going to be the same skill set. The other thing to pay attention to is that the arm recoveries are relatively free of tension. They're very much swung over the surface rather than pulled over the surface. And that's important because it allows swimmers to create more speed with the recovery, and just as importantly, it allows them to use less effort during the recovery. If they want to sustain fast stroke rates throughout the whole race, It's not about just achieving them, it's about achieving them in a way that uses as little energy as possible so that swimmers can repeat the movement over and over and over again. So the key idea is that the arm recoveries are direct, they're ballistic, and they're straight, and that's going to allow swimmers to recover them as quickly as possible with as little energy as possible and place the arm in a position that allows them to create propulsion as soon as possible and with as much effectiveness as possible. One final point here is the importance of rotation timing to ensure that swimmers are able to recover effectively. So to get the arm out of the water, what you'll see is that the arm that's recovering, that side of the body is going to be rotated up, and that's going to allow swimmers to recover, to let that hand come out of the water, and then swimmers are going to stay rotated to that side as they recover over, and then it's at the last second that they snap through to the other side, and that allows them to place the arm straight up overhead in a position where they can create propulsion effectively. And so making sure that swimmers have effective rotation timing and that they're not rotating during the pull, they're not rotating through the majority of the recovery, but it happens at entry and it happens at exit, that's going to allow them to recover more effectively as well. And so many times if swimmers struggle with their arm recoveries, it can also be related to poor rotational timing. And so cleaning that up makes it a lot easier for swimmers to recover effectively. And if they can recover effectively, they can pull effectively, and that means they can create speed. For more on how to help backstrokers improve their arm recoveries, check out the video below.